Hello and welcome back to Circle City News. I am your podcast host, Kayla Metter, and today we are discussing the murder of Chanti Dixon of Indianapolis. Ms. Dixon went missing on September 8th of this year. She was last seen leaving work at 3:30 a.m., where she had called an Uber driver for a ride home. Uber driver Francisco Valadez was arrested under the suspicion of murder of Mrs. Dixon because they found her body in a wooded area near her house. There were 2 cell phones found near Miss Dixon's body, and police believe they both belonged to Miss Dixon, according to her family. The family also provided them with passwords to enter the phone, where they found out that the last person to see Miss Dixon alive was Uber driver Francisco Valadez. Francisco Valadez was arrested on September 9th under the suspicion of murdering her. Upon speaking to Mr. Valadez, he told police that after he picked up Miss Dixon, a armed black man tried to rob her in the backseat of Mr. Valadez's car. During this tussle, apparently this man shot her in the leg and she kicked herself out of the car. And instead of helping, Mr. Valadez fled the scene. He went home, he cleaned the blood out of his car, and never reported the crime to the police. Obviously, very obviously, the police found this suspicious and decided to question Mr. Valadez's mother, whom he lived with. She said he came home the day before and was cleaning out his car. She didn't understand why he was doing this, but gave police items that he stored inside the house from his vehicle. Upon receiving these items, the police arrested Mr. Valadez, and at the police station, after multiple stories, he admitted to murdering Mrs. Valadez. He said that he picked her up around 3:30 a.m. when she ordered her Uber, and on the way to her house, he stopped and he started to sexually assault her with a gun to her head. Chanti Dixon didn't have a way to defend herself, and so she started insulting his body, and he shot her in the left side of her head. He then dumped her body and left the scene, only to come back later and try to sexually assault her body. He has now been arrested on these charges: sexual assault, first-degree murder, defiling a body. There was a lot of things about Mr. Valadez's story that obviously didn't make sense. Like, how are you going to be driving someone home and at a stoplight your passenger is getting assaulted in the back seat by somebody trying to rob her? He never mentioned picking up a man. He never mentioned that this even happened at a stoplight. Like, there was just so many things that didn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. If your passenger's getting assaulted, why would you not pull over and try to help? Why would you not just drive to the police station? Why would you allow your passenger, after she's been shot, to kick herself out of the vehicle and then you just leave her there and not call the police? There was just too many things that don't make sense. Also, the fact that he committed this crime to begin with and then did it again and then went home. He went home. He didn't try to flee. He came up with the worst story possible. Like, nothing about this was plausible. Indiana Metropolitan Police Department and Uber themselves shared statements giving their condolences to the family and stating that this tragedy never should have happened, and it should not have happened. They also urged passengers to data share their information on where they are and who they're with. But that's the crazy thing. We shouldn't have to do that. We should not live in a world where we have to do that, where we're not even safe getting into an Uber. Uber states that their drivers are vetted, like thoroughly vetted, and clearly they're not, because this man was incredibly unstable. Everyone here at Circle City News would like to give our condolences to the family. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you, and we are so very sorry that this happened to your family. Chanti Dixon, according to her family, was a hardworking mother and a very fun person to be around. She will be greatly missed. It's also incredibly sad that Miss Dixon was murdered because her only way of defending herself was to insult the man's body while he was sexually assaulting her. It tells you everything that's wrong with the world. That was her only way of defending herself because she didn't want to go out as a victim. This is a very sad story, and I am going to be sharing more stories like this in the true crime section of Circle City News podcast. Thank you for listening today, And if you like hearing about true crime, give us a follow at circlecitynews.org. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Thanks again for listening, and keep it safe out there.